Phil.
Tasha, how do you feel about being here today?
I'm happy.
The relationship.
He's threatened to kill you with a shotgun.
He even held up the shotgun barrel and said, "This has your name on it."
The rage.
Your behavior's outrageous.
Wish you grew up 50 years ago, Rick. I beat you to death.
I feel like I want to lock myself in the closet once I feel myself getting angry. I feel like the Hulk.
His behavior is abominable, but he's one thing, his behavior's another.
Don't care enough to want to fix it with him.
If he's withholding something, if he's masking something, what is it? Tell him.
Anger. I think he's angry at me a little bit right now.
Do you think he's capable of killing you?
I think he is if he's in one of those rages.
Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today's going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. Natasha says Brendan was her high school sweetheart. She admits she noticed a dark side to him where he struggled with anxiety and huge anger outbursts, but she hoped the Marines would change that and help them both to mature. Well, Natasha and Brendan have been married for 8 years and they have 3 children. And she says things have actually worsened, with Brendan swearing at her even in front of the kids, pushing her, which he refers to as muffing, gaslighting, lecturing, and ranting. Natasha says they even broke up 2 times, with one of the breaks happening after he threatened to kill her. Now, Natasha says she needs my help to decide if she should stay with Brendan or go.
Living with my husband Brendan and his anger issues have been an absolute roller coaster. I've tried to leave him a couple times, but then he makes my life a living hell. Brendan's anger outbursts happen at least once a day. He's called me horrible names like bitch. The list goes on and on.
My name's Natasha, and I'm a piece of and I don't give a about nobody but myself.
We've had some bad incidents. We were in a heated argument and Brendan slammed the door and then proceeded to kick through it. The door flew at me and my son, so I stayed with a family member for about 2.5 months. About a week into being separated, Brendan found a new girlfriend. At one of the kids' exchanges, Brendan got really upset. After he just dumped out of the car, he stole my keys and chucked them in this field. Brendan said that he felt really bad and was really apologetic about everything that he had done. I went back to him shortly after I realized this was a horrible mistake. The next time that I left, we started arguing at a restaurant and Brendan said that he was going to leave me there. Our kids were crying, "Don't leave mommy!" And at one point he took his hand and he muffed me in the face like this, just pushed my face back with his open palm like this, and it knocked my glasses off my face. When we got home, I panicked, so I got in my car to try to leave, and he got in front of the car and was telling me, "Just come inside." So I cracked my window down just a little bit and was yelling, "Help me, help me!" And that seemed to scare him. We lived separately for a while, but then we started hanging out like a family again and decided to move back in together. I don't want my kids to be around his outbursts. He's really good as a father, but as soon as he gets anxious, he gets angry at them and he'll start yelling. I want to figure out if there's hope for Brendan to change, or should I break away now while my kids are still young?
In the process of preparing for this story, our guest told us some things that have me a bit concerned about what the plan will be today, including Natasha telling the associate producer that she feared what Brendan might do to her, her children, and her mother after the taping.
I am very concerned how Brendan will act on stage. He's already packed with ammo if he needs it to defend himself.
Worst case scenario for me would be feeling like belittled and attacked on stage. I would want to get up and walk off stage.
I'm scared for my mom. I'm scared for me when we go home, when no one's there to protect us. I know he's crazy. He's made threats of punching my mom in the face based off what she said. I'm nervous he'll break everything at the house. I'm nervous he'll steal my kids and drive off drunk with them. When he's drunk or really angry, he has no control over what he does.
Natasha, how do you feel about being here today?
I'm happy
Yeah.
to be here.
Scary,
Yeah.
but happy, right? Let's talk about what's going to happen here today, because I want you to feel free to speak up and be honest. We're prepared to make sure that you're safe here. You know, we don't get violent here. That's never happened here. In 19 years, there's never been a single guest lay a finger on another guest on this stage ever in 19 years. And it's not going to start today.
Right.
It's not who we are. It's not what we do. That's not how this works. And I can tell you the way to deal with someone that has flash anger is not to confront them and get in their face.
Right.
Because that's their comfort zone. He's afraid of being attacked and belittled and all of that. And that's not going to happen because it would get us nowhere.
Right.
He actually understands that what he's doing is not right. He just doesn't know how to stop it.
Right.
And that's different. Now, when we talk about these behaviors, according to you, he's threatened to kill you. He dated a girl during a separation, which is a very rebellious thing to do. He refused to appear here in the past because you wrote to me originally back in 19, but he wouldn't participate, correct?
Correct.
He abandoned you in a field with your children. He calls you every name in the book. We don't need to go through them. He breaks TVs, tables during rants. He just kind of starts throwing stuff around. You say he's muffed you twice with his open hand. That's where he pushes your face back.
Yes.
Broke your glasses once during that time. Now, he self-medicates with marijuana daily, right?
Yes.
And he's really frustrated that you don't get him. The good news is it's not your fault. The bad news is it's not your fix.
Thank you.
If you could fix it, that'd be great. We could just change what you're doing and then everything would be great, but that's not the issue. And you know that because this existed before you ever met him.
Right.
You said you've actually had to get a restraining order against him because he's threatened to kill you. He threatened to kill you with a shotgun. He got specific about it.
Oh, definitely. Mm-hmm. Yes.
It wasn't just, I could just kill you. It was like, look, I'm going to get the shotgun that we own, and I'm going to use it, and I'm going to kill you.
He even held up the shotgun barrel and said, if you take my kids away from me, this has your name on it.
Now, you say both of you are now in survival mode. What does that mean?
Neither of us are happy. We're both just trying to take it day by day, sometimes minute by minute. I feel like neither of us really know what we're doing. Neither of us had a good role model growing up. So I don't really know how to parent my children well or what to do to make sure they're going to be okay.
Mm-hmm. You can agree that you can't go on like this.
Right, 100%. Right.
Something has to change or somebody's going to get hurt.
Right.
All right, we know that. So this has to change. That's fundamentally, we know this has to change.
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you think he also knows that?
Yes, I think
see,
he does.
That's the difference here between him and a lot of guys that justify what they're doing. He's not justifying this. He says to us, this isn't right. I just don't know how to stop. And you do realize you have an undivided loyalty to your children here.
Yes.
And that failure to take them out of harm's way is negligence.
Yes.
And negligence is abuse.
But I think a part of me almost feels like I'm harming them too from taking them away from their father, because then they'll just have me.
Okay, let's clear that up right now. Here's the definition. Failing to protect a child in his or her care from inflicted physical, mental, or sexual injury caused by the acts of another. He does this in front of the children. He calls you names. He yells at you. He does all these things in front of the children.
Right.
And if you fail to take them out of that environment, then you're being negligent as their mother.
Right.
So
it ends today.
We're going to hear what Brendan has to say about all this when we come back.
Natasha's definitely more hard on me than I am on her. It's frustrating because I believe Natasha can do 10 things wrong in comparison to the one thing I do wrong. I feel like I'm constantly trying to get her to comprehend my feelings. When I'm angry at Natasha, I feel like I'm irrational.
I wish you grew up 50 years ago where I could beat you to death.
Tomorrow.
She basically told me that she wasn't going to do chemo, even though she knows she has cancer.
Do you know the difference between right and wrong?
Yes, doctor.
You allowed her to go to bed at night thinking my mother has terminal cancer when in fact you are cancer free.
You told me that I have to pull the plug.
That's why I'm here, is because I want the help.
You lied.
It was totally for attention.
Like, you're disgusting.
That's tomorrow. Then on Thursday.
We need to go to school.
Get out!
Don't touch me.
So you weren't really talking about blowing up the bus?
No, he shoved me.
How could he shove you into it if you weren't in there?
I was in there.
You just said you weren't.
That's Thursday.
I've learned over the years how to keep the peace with Brendan. I'll use tactics like changing the conversation or just staying quiet. I've even had to go as far as to cancel my plans just to make him happy. Sometimes we smoke together and I'll let him vent to me for hours just to get stuff off his chest. We have sex about every other day. It seems like it calms him down and it's therapy for him. He tells me sometimes that I act like sex is a chore, and he's right. I was raised that everything should always be hunky-dory, so I put on a face that things are okay, but I am not okay.
Natasha admits, despite her 8-year marriage to husband Brendan being full of screaming, fights, threats, name-calling, and muffing, she still tries to make it work. Now, Brendan admits he can get anxious, which leads to anger, but he says Natasha needs more empathy.
I think there's something wrong with my brain. I get anxious very easily. Then my anxiety turns right into anger.
I feel like I'm walking on eggshells, or I don't know what temperament he's gonna be in.
I'm that way inside my own head 24/7. Lately, Natasha and I have had more downs than ups. I'm very self-aware. I just don't know what to do about it or how to stop it. Natasha's definitely more hard on me than I am on her. It's frustrating because I believe Natasha can do 10 things wrong in comparison to the one thing I do wrong. I feel like I'm constantly trying to get her to comprehend my feelings. I definitely wish that Natasha was more empathetic towards me.
I feel like he's always so over the top, and I'm just like, ignore, ignore, ignore.
When I'm angry at Natasha, I feel like I'm irrational and I say and do things that I have always apologized for.
I wish you grew up 50 years ago where I could beat you to death for being an incompetent piece of
I believe Natasha needs to get better at communicating with me. I joke that I'm the woman in the relationship because I'll cry and she'll be the one who shuts down. We definitely need to work on our respect for each other. My hope is that I'm able to learn from Dr. Phil how to manage my emotions to benefit my family.
It's good to meet you. You guys talked about coming here a few years ago, and you didn't, but you're here now, and I'm glad.
Thank you.
And let me tell you straight up, I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to help you.
Thank you.
You've had enough judgment, right?
Especially from myself.
And that's what I know. You beat yourself up over this. You beat yourself up after the fact, but you agree that your behavior is not what you want, it's unacceptable, that you don't treat her the way you want to treat her.
Not at all. I agree.
So we need to figure out why that's happening and how to change it. Because you're not here to defend it, you're here to change it, right?
100%. Yes, Doctor.
Okay, so let's work together to create that happening. And I have some ideas about that. You said something earlier, you said she can do a lot of things wrong, and then I go over the top, and so that's what gets focused on. You're exactly right. There's something that I call outrageous overshadowing. When one person's behavior is so outrageous, it overshadows the behavior of another, which means you can do like 5 things that in the paradigm of a marital relationship would be worthy of criticism, would be worthy of change, that anybody would object to. But then you react in such an outrageous way, she gets a free pass because all the attention goes to the squeaky wheel. Your behavior's outrageous, so you never focus on the things that you really should as a couple. Do you feel this coming on when it's coming on?
Yes, I do.
What are your first signs?
my heart rate starts to speed up excessively. I even have a watch sometimes, and I can watch my heart rate
You look at it, it's going 68, 88, 98.
90, 100.
Yeah. And when did you first notice this happening in your life? It was before, Natasha.
Yes, I think that I have been anxious or maybe ADHD type symptoms my entire life, I've realized. But it definitely got exacerbated when I joined the military.
It got worse then.
Yes, 100%, I believe.
And you guys, you both went into the Marines, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And thank you both for your service, by the way. We really appreciate both of you for stepping up and doing that. It means a lot. Brendan says that his anger stems from anxiety, and one big problem is that Natasha can't empathize with him. He says she doesn't get it. If she could stand in my shoes and see the world through my eyes, then she might understand what that anxiety feels like. Well, we're going to talk about that right after the break. Do you think he's capable of killing you?
I think he is if he's in one of those rages, yes.
How do you read him right now?
Something about you isn't right.
It's non-stop drama.
My daughter, Melissa, is a mean, raging alcoholic.
Falling down the stairs, laying unconscious in the snow.
All month long.
What do you do all day?
I drink.
On Dr. Phil.
I'm so worried about her dying.
You're killing her.
Real people.
Alexandria has gone to the emergency room 600 times.
Sometimes it can be like 3-4 times a week.
Real problems.
You've been fired from 4 jobs because you just walked out and went to the hospital.
Yeah.
You got off a plane because you thought you were having appendicitis.
If I don't go to the hospital, something is going to happen to me.
Dr. Phil May.
It's the people that get a little bit of success, then they strut around like King Kong.
I don't think he has a single staff member who can say anything good about him.
These laughable accusations, literally not worth my time.
You need a wake-up call.
Ever since I met him, Brendan has been self-medicating with marijuana. He smokes it pretty much every day. If he doesn't smoke, he has no patience with me, the kids, or anyone.
Once Natasha gave me an ultimatum to stop using marijuana, I believe we both see the benefits that come from it now. It calms down my anxiety, makes me more happy-go-lucky, and gives me more patience with my children.
If he continues to smoke, I'm scared it's just gonna be slapping a Band-Aid on a wound that's just waiting to explode again.
Natasha says she has walked out and left her husband Brendan twice because of his anger issues, and she says she couldn't tolerate him screaming and cursing at her. And here's video of Natasha, she says depicts how Brendan talks to her when he's in these rages, and you may not have been aware of some of this, so pay close attention.
I go to work every day and make nothing. I made $100 in my past 5 days of work. Good to know. Your job. You, I don't even care to ask you what happened. Because I don't care. My name's Natasha, and I'm a piece of and I don't give a about nobody but myself. Hashtag, I'm a white female. I wish you grew up 50 years ago where I could beat you to death for being an incompetent piece of I want you to be my wife and my teammate. Nope, I can't get that. Can't you feel bad for me? Can't you say I'm sorry? Sorry you feel that way. Nope, you're a piece of must be nice.
Okay, do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
When did it happen?
The night after he got fired and came home and started drinking.
Okay. Were you drunk when that happened?
I don't remember.
You don't remember that happening?
I do remember the parts of that conversation, but I don't remember the scenario around it. Mm-hmm. That's even worse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's diagnostic. It's of diagnostic significance. So you said, I wish you were born 50 years ago so I could beat you blank to death. Now, how does that sound when it's read back to you?
Horrible. I've never gotten mad at her and not felt horrible after saying or doing what I do. It's when I'm in that scenario. I feel like sometimes I get overwhelmed and my feelings get so strong that I want somebody else almost to feel the way that I'm feeling, even if it's bad.
By the way, I was alive in the 50s. That wasn't okay then either.
I say irrational things when I get upset. It's like I said, I want somebody to feel the way that I feel, even if it's horrible.
Now, Natasha told producers that during a separation, child exchanges were especially difficult. And here's a video she took after she says Brendan abandoned her with the children.
You're in the field. Let's take it.
So he just took my keys after he just dumped out of the car. He said, if you want, you better take her, as he drove off like a maniac. Is in the car. He stole my keys from the vehicle and chucked them in this field. So yeah, this is what I'm dealing with.
Okay. Do you remember that?
I do.
And what were you experiencing at the time? Not emotionally yet, but physically?
Fear. Normally it's fear, and then it turns straight into anger.
Okay.
I feel like I'm in a fight or flight, or life or death scenario most of the time.
Yeah, and you are in fight or flight, actually. You're in a state of adrenergic arousal. Your adrenal glands are just spinning up so fast that you're describing it exactly right. You're in fight or flight, but you can't pump the brake yourself.
I cannot. That's one of my comments that I said to the producers that I feel like I want to lock myself in a closet once I feel myself getting angry. I feel like the Hulk. I feel like once it happens, it's just out and there's nothing to do until some time has come by to where the emotion can go away.
How do you feel about Natasha as your wife?
I love Natasha. I love her very much. I think if I don't get help and I don't get any better, I don't think she'll continue to deal with it. I wouldn't want her to.
Have you threatened her with a shotgun?
There was, yes, when we were going through a divorce, she was threatening to take my kids and I was never going to see them again.
Do you think he's capable of killing you?
I think he is, if he's in one of those rages, yes.
How do you read him right now?
Very nervous, very scared. I still feel like he's trying to put up a little bit of a front a little bit. I feel like, I don't know, I just feel something about you isn't right.
Every question.
I know, but
should we leave?
Just something about me just doesn't, I feel like you still have a guard up.
Uh-huh. What is it that, if he's withholding something, if he's masking something, what is it? Tell him, because
anger. I think he's angry at me a little bit right now.
I'm not angry at you. I get angry. I'm not angry at you whatsoever. I love you. I'm glad we're here.
I think it might be to the point where I'm just over all of it. I feel like I don't care enough to want to fix it with him. It's too exhausting.
I have to tell you, I've been doing this a long time, and I believe he's being very forthcoming.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah, see, I do.
I think he's being very forthcoming. I think he's being very honest. And his behavior is absolutely outrageous. It is absolutely unacceptable. It cannot continue. It cannot go on. It has to stop. I've been very clear with him about that. It's not okay. He can't treat you that way. He can't say that to you. He can't behave that way. His behavior is abominable. It has to stop. But he's one thing, his behavior's another.
Right.
Natasha's mother, Michelle, is here and has been listening. We'll hear what she has to say about her daughter's marriage after the break.
I had given Natasha money so that she could get a divorce lawyer. This happened after Brendan had left her for another girl. Then when the girl kicked him out, he came crying back to Natasha and she took him back in.
My anxiety and anger definitely affects the children. When I yell at them in comparison to Natasha, I get much more of an effect because they're more afraid of me.
Brendan calls me names in front of our kids. The kids just mind their own business, but then the next day they'll ask me, why does Daddy make you sad?
In no way is it healthy for kids to witness their parents fighting. Children do not need to know about adult problems.
My fear is that my kids will grow up and be just as angry and temperamental as Brendan is. I could never imagine living in a house with 3 Brendans.
Natasha's mother, Michelle, says that her daughter has been in this toxic relationship for a long time, and that she's here anytime that Natasha wants to get out.
Sorry.
I'm always telling my daughter Natasha that she should leave Brendan. Natasha never mentioned her marital problems with Brendan. until I witnessed his anger issues firsthand. The first time I went to visit them in the Marines after they got married, I saw Brendan go absolutely berserk. He was angry about something. He flipped their bedroom mattress on the floor, broke an end table, and put his fist through their TV. He acts very much like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. One minute he talks to his 5-year-old son and tells him how much he loves him. And then the next time, Brendan's like, "What the are you doing? Are you stupid?" Brendan talks to Natasha like he's belittling her. Because of Brendan's behavior and Natasha's self-esteem has really dropped, and she's not so sure about herself as she used to be. In 2018, I had given Natasha money so that she could get a divorce lawyer. This happened after Brendan had left her for another girl. Then when the girl kicked him out, he came crying back to Natasha, and she took him back in. I do believe Brendan can change temporarily, but I'm concerned that he could not change for the long term. At this point, I believe Natasha and Brendan need to go their own separate ways.
Well, Michelle is joining us virtually now. Michelle, thank you. You've been listening all along, right?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me, at this point, you think that it's gone too far and that the relationship should end?
Yes, I do. I've seen Brendan. He can be the most wonderful dad in the world with these kids. But then I've also seen him turn the other way, which makes me mad and cries because I know Brendan is a good father deep down. And I love Brendan. I love Tasha. And I do whatever they would need me to do.
We know that. You haven't.
What's that?
So we know that she would not do that, and she has not done that. Tasha has called her and begged her to come down, hysterically crying, and her mom says, "Oh, can't you get somebody else to come give you a hug?" Asking my mom to come give her a hug. Tells her that
tells me my mom was a workaholic. She wasn't very present in our childhood. She tries. I think she hasn't been a bad mom, but given what her toolbox is filled with, she's done the best she could. And I think she likes to hide a lot of stuff and hide it under the rug.
The best that I thought I could do at the time.
Right, just like I'm doing now. That's all we can do.
You know, I'm going to ask Robin to comment on her read of this situation at this point. Robin's my wife. Say hello to Robin.
Hi. Robin.
I'm really not asking her to comment as my wife. We've been married for 44 years. We've been together almost 50 years. So we've been married longer than you two have been alive, added together. But she's also the founder of When Georgia Smiled. It's the organization that she built to bring awareness to domestic violence and the impact it has on men, women, and children. I mean, everyone. And through this work, Robin has helped to create something called the Aspire Initiative, which is to help educate others about domestic violence. And there's also an Aspire app that allows victims to call for help with the touch of a button. You've been listening to all of this. What's your response?
Well, first of all, I'm thrilled that both of you are here because that's a huge step. And I want to address the fact that you say that you're not a good mother or a great mother. I think you're a wonderful mother because you're seeking help for your children. And that's the first step. I also want to say, because of your children, when you speak about the word abuse, it's not just about physical abuse.
Right.
And when they're around what's happening in your home, they're experiencing every level of abuse. So just because they don't have a scar or blood or something hasn't happened yet, that they've been harmed, they are still experiencing every level of abuse. And that's what my Aspire initiative is all about. When you go there, it's a very educational program. And I think that's key, that you can learn, that everyone can go there and learn everything you need to know about what abuse really is. And when you are in the middle of being abused, or if you're an abuser, I think that's a very important aspect of it, to be educated. Because I do believe your children are in the middle of an abusive home and situation. And I'm very happy that you're here to get some help with that.
Thank you.
The thing that comes to my mind. When we talked to you, you said, well, I've done everything. I've done every kind of evaluation. I've done everything but brain scans, which I know are cumbersome and expensive. So my immediate response was, if that's the last stone unturned, then let's do brain scans. And so I wanted to find out what was there. So could something be wrong with Brendan's brain? We sent him to be tested. And when I say tested, I sent him to what I consider to be the absolute world's leader in this type of evaluation. We'll talk to this individual when we come back. Yesterday, we sent Brendan to get an MRI at Dr. Bradley Jabor's brand new medical imaging center in Beverly Hills. Take a look.
Today I'm here to do my brain imaging with Dr. Jabor. I'm feeling very excited, actually. It's been something I've been hoping to have done.
For some reason, this anxiety and fear that just torments you triggers an anger where you will act out and maybe even hurt the people you love around you. The question for me today is really, is your brain structurally normal? So we have these powerful techniques which can look at the architecture of your brain, but also get an idea of the functioning of your brain. So we're looking for any possible stigmata of brain injury, which could be caused by other things other than actual injury.
Brendan, this next scan will be 4 minutes.
Okay. Tomorrow with Dr. Phil, we'll have all the data together and we'll be able to analyze and provide him with some roadmap as to what possibly could help Brandon.
Hoping for some type of outcome for me and my family, positively.
Well, joining us now is Dr. Bradley Jabor, who, in my opinion, is the world's leading neuroradiologist with more than 20 years in practice. He did his residency at Stanford University and his radiology fellowship at the University of Southern California and UCLA. So, Dr. Jabor, thank you for being here.
Thanks.
Brendan, do we have your permission to talk about the findings?
Yes, you do.
Okay. Can we just go to the screen and you walk us through what you found here?
So we can see the good-looking Brandon, right? He's recognizable. This is a 3T MR, which is able to not only look at the whole brain, very accurate, the face and structures, we're able to look into the brain and see the wiring mechanism inside your brain. I was surprised, in talking to Brandon initially, and he mentioned that he had never had any experience of an impactful head trauma. And we see evidence that looks like at some point, somewhere, somebody should sit with Brandon and try and find out when did he get a hit on the head or knocked unconscious, possibly, something that maybe he doesn't remember.
Right.
But it probably did happen because there's several of these areas of gliosis or scar tissue.
And you said you located at least 7 distinct areas of scarring in the front portion of the brain here.
Correct. There were 7, all concentrated more in the right hemisphere, in the frontal lobes.
So somewhere along the line, this brain has been impacted.
I'm encouraging somebody to sit and try and find out what happened in his early years up until he was 12, 13. Did he ever have any issue like that? Okay. And I'm not sure if you can tie in the anger issues with a particular moment in his life, or has he always been angry, even as a 12, 13, 15-year-old?
Okay, and when you see this kind of injury in this part of the brain, this is often associated with exactly what he's experiencing.
As far as Brandon's concerned, I think there's something else in the history that we would have to try and delve into to figure out why does he have these subcortical areas of gliosis in the right frontal lobe.
Okay, so this is a distinct finding. This wasn't a close call, right?
Not a close call, no.
And this is definitely abnormal.
Abnormal, yes.
Fill in the Blanks is back with all new shows that will provide you with the information you need to fill in the blanks in your life. I'm hosting top experts in brain health and behavioral science, the best women and children's advocates and visionaries who share their experience, strength, and hope with the important topics, including how to help children navigate the new normal and how to understand human behavior.
An all-new season of Fill in the Blanks starts May 25th. Available on Apple Podcast and Stitcher.
Constantly arguing with your spouse? Are you feeling trapped or contemplating divorce? If any of that's true, I want to hear from you. Log on to drphil.com and email your question. If it's chosen, I might just be able to help. Okay.
So this is a technique that's very useful looking at the blood flow to the brain, and you can see Brandon over there versus a normal patient. And it's very easy to see that where red represents blood flow, good, healthy blood flow, Brandon has markedly diminished blood flow into his brain. It's a clue that the machinery of the brain isn't functioning as efficiently as it should. So these are new techniques that you have to be cautious about. This is functional MRI, where we're able to look at the various computers in the brain that work in a different time series with each other. For instance, on the left, that's the normal cerebellum, the area of the brain that is responsible for balance and equilibrium. This is the normal visual cortex where we see things. Those all look good. This here is an abnormal hyperconnected thalamic area, an area associated with emotions and pain. And we see that his default mode network, which is Brandon, is yellow. This is a normal 100 or so patients, normal patients. That's what the default mode looks like. So he has some hyperconnected activity in the frontal lobes that, together with everything, tells us that he's got a disrupted machine.
When we're asking the questions, what are the contributing factors? It's all starting to fit together. There has to be more evaluation, but these are significant findings that you have to start putting on the table for a differential diagnosis.
Yes. I wonder, did you feel Brandon was depressed as well? Is there a component of depression apart from
I don't think
anxiety?
there's any question about that. Would you agree?
No, I agree.
Yeah. What can you do about that, Dr. DeBoer?
Well, you know, if we want a good psychiatric evaluation of the depression anxiety component, and if he is truly depressed, we know that traumatic brain injury is often associated with that. And there are a number of non-invasive techniques where you can start that brain up again with TMS, one of the non-invasive, non-pharmacological ways to try and spark the brain to get the circuits moving properly and get the brain working. That is a possibility.
That's amazing to hear.
Is this helpful for you to know?
Yes, that's very helpful.
Now that we've learned this, what will this young couple do moving forward? We'll talk about that right after the break. Want to know what's coming up on Dr. Phil? Visit our website and subscribe to our newsletter. You'll get weekly updates, life strategies, and exclusive video that you won't find anywhere else. Plus, on drphil.com, you can see sneak previews of upcoming shows. Log on today. I'm assuming that both of you are glad to have this information, right? This answers a lot of things.
Definitely.
Here's the important thing, the children. In the interim, you really have to protect these children. And if this gives you enough information and relief that you feel like you can really modulate and you can make a commitment that you can be safe, that's one thing. If not, then you need to really make the responsible decision to take yourself out of the situation until you get this under control, which can happen much sooner than you'd be surprised how quickly the brain can respond. But we can't leave the children in this cauldron of chaos and emotion here. And, we're going to help you with, there's a psychological part of this, there's a neurological part of this, and we're helping with the neurological part, we'll help with the psychological part as well. So you've got somebody that you can sit down and talk through these things with and explain what's working on here and how to bring all of that together. And we're in the middle of a pandemic, so we'll get you a therapist that you can talk to with teletherapy through Doctor On Demand, which is our own company. So we'll get that set up for you. I'll get you 10 sessions set up immediately that you can start talking to someone and explaining how all this fits together. And we'll just bring a team together and get this moving right away. And I think if you commit yourself to this and really work at it and you show some patience, we can move cautiously, optimistically forward here. Main thing being protect these children every step of the way.
Yes.
Fair enough?
Yes.
All right. Are you glad you came here?
Yes, I'm very glad I came here. I can look out now and not see a brick wall. I can see 7 different roads instead of just a brick wall that I know I can't climb.
Yeah. All right. And Dr. Jabbour can explain a little bit more about it when we finish here. All right. We are out of time. I want to thank my guest today, and a special thanks to Dr. Bradley Jabbour, Chief Radiologist and owner of the Medical Imaging Center of Southern California in Santa Monica, and now his newest clinic in Beverly Hills. If you at home want your own Doctor On Demand, go to Google Play Store or the Apple App Store and download the Doctor On Demand app. I'm going to make that available to both of you to work on what you need to do to move forward from here. So I don't want you walking this walk alone either, okay? For more information about today's show, log on to drphil.com. Don't forget to check out all the social media places that we hang out, and that includes our new Facebook fan page, Dr. Phil Fanatics. And if you haven't subscribed to Robin's podcast, I've Got a Secret, do that. They have some really interesting guests there, including the founders of the infamous 901 Hair Salon, Nikki Lee and Rihanna Capri, with an incredible client list, including Kate Hudson, Taylor Swift, Jennifer Lawrence, and more. They have a lot of fun, a lot of great beauty secrets. We'll see you next time. Be safe. So long.